have a block ready. There we go. I like how my mat matches the eyeball. I can't say that that's a coincidence. It's all planned. And go ahead and come on into a child's pose to get started this morning. So as I was mentioning, I was running a little late getting into the park today, and of course ran into train traffic and then an ambulance and a fire truck. So slowing me down a bit. Let's just take a few breaths in our child's pose. See how much you can just collapse the front of your body onto your thighs. And granted, this does make it hard to breathe, but fully brings awareness to that back body. The bigger the breath you take, the more that breath is going to come into the back body. Having a microphone right here in my ear makes me a little bit more conscious of the fact that it seems difficult to breathe in this pose. Try to smooth your breath out. And dip your forehead down to the mat. And just notice here if you can reach the mat. And if not, grab that block, tuck your chin to your chest, and bring your forehead to the top of the block. Keep tucking your chin. You don't want to create an extension in the neck, but rather spinal flexion. In our traditional child's pose, we want flexion from the tailbone all the way up to the base of the neck, the full spine. We should look like half an egg in that elliptical shape. And just notice the calming influence of this pose on mind and body. And then very slowly look up at your hands, and you can take the block with you over to the right side and then walk the arms over to the right. Maybe stack the hands on top of the block. You can put the left hand on top of the right and really stretch through that left side waist. We'll take a couple of breaths here. And then begin to make your way back to the center and then over to that left side. Right hand sets on top of the left. Breathing into that side waist. And then we're going to come back to the center. Dip the forehead back down towards the mat. Tuck the chin. Perfect. All right, let's come on up to hands and knees. So this next bit is going to be a little bit different for thread the needle. So what we're going to do that's different is we're going to set the block right underneath us, okay? And then we're going to take this left hand and we're going to sweep it up and twist. On the exhale, turn your palm up and go past that block underneath the right arm. And all we're doing is slowly dipping that left shoulder to tap to the top of that block. We're not going to stay there. And then inhale, reach it through, twist. And then exhale, thread it under and just tap your left shoulder down to the top of that block. All right, one more time. Inhale, reach. And exhale, reach through. Just tap the shoulder to the top of that block. All right, and then come on through and we'll work on that other side. So the right arm reaches up on an inhale. Exhale, thread through. Just tap the shoulder or the upper arm, whatever will reach. Inhale, reach up. Exhale, thread through. So this is just causing us to slow down and be a little more mindful in this twist. Inhale, reach up. Exhale, thread through. Tap right shoulder to the block. And inhale, come through. All right, take the hands down to the mat. All right. We haven't done this particular pose for a little while, so I want us to kind of pay attention to what's happening at the neck. We're going to be coming into rabbit pose. So first set your hips down towards your heels like you are coming into child's pose. And then you're going to dip your forehead down to the mat. You're going to take your arms behind your back, maybe hook a finger or two or interlace your fingers. And then if your neck is okay, what we're going to do is just lift our hips and roll onto the crown of the head. Straighten the arms. Not a whole lot of pressure onto the neck. And slowly come back down here. Rest your hands on the back of your sacrum. Tuck the chin to the chest. Just kind of hang out here for a couple of breaths. Just getting a little bit of stretch into the shoulders. And then release the hands. Come on up to hands and knees. All right, we're going to step this right foot forward next to the right hand and lunge forward. So getting into that front left hip flexor. So we can take this anywhere you guys want to today. So just work on your own mat, with your own body, with your own breath. You might just stay here. Perhaps you take your arms on the inside of that right leg, both hands, and lunge a little deeper. You have that block available to you. Maybe you just take your forearm, your left forearm down to that block. If you can go deeper, you can take the left forearm down to the mat. So just options, and perhaps twist open. Gaze can go up to that lifted right arm, opening and spinning the heart open. And then on your exhale, come on back if you twisted, and then take your hips back. So like you see what I'm doing here, I'm propping up on top of this right thumb. Let's not do that. and use that block instead to bring the ground closer to you. Flex and point that right foot. All right, we're going to build into a high crescent lunge. So we're going to take a little bit of time here to tuck the left toes under and reach back through that left heel. Keep the hips low and your right knee right over that ankle. And then very slowly, using the core muscles, maybe the fingertips just hover off the ground. Perhaps they come on up to the top of the knee. Now you can stay here, finding a drishti, and try to lift the chest up off of that thigh. And maybe if you're feeling strong, you can take the arms up over the head, steeple mudra, the hands, crescent lunge. Gaze could go up to challenge yourself. All right, exhale, take the hands back down, dip that left knee to the mat, and take the right foot back. Let's go ahead and take a child's pose in between sides. Send the breath to your back body. And coming up for that other side. Left foot forward, hips press forward. And you can stay right here, just lunging, getting that beautiful stretch into that right hip flexor. You can take both hands on the inside of this left thigh. And just linger here. Sometimes these hip flexors, they need a little more time to stretch out. You can come on down to that block with your forearm, or all the way down to the mat. And you can twist. Just working through the different options here. And then coming up out of that twist, if you went into a twist, and we're going to take the hips back. So again, this is something where you may want that block underneath your hands just to get the stretch into the hamstrings, hinging over this forward leg. You can point and flex the ankle. All right, pressing into this forward left foot, tucking the right toes under. And you can just hover here. You know, the block is your friend if you want to put it on a little higher setting, and just kind of build up the hands to the heart space, or the hands to the top of the knee. So here I'm leaning forward. See if you can lift the torso up off of that thigh. Find your drishti. We're going to need that because this crescent pose is balance. You can steeple mudra the hands. You can keep that forward gaze. If you want to challenge yourself, you can look up. And then exhale, take the hands back down. Slowly dip that right knee down to the mat. All right, we're going to take ourselves into a pointer dog pose. So we're going to take that right leg back and see if you can just really sense where your leg is in space. I know that when I'm in a studio, sometimes the leg's way out here, sometimes it's way up high, sometimes the knee's bent. And I don't know that we have a whole lot of awareness of what that back leg is doing. So reach through the heel, see if you can really straighten that right knee. And when you're ready, you're going to take that opposite left arm forward. See if you can have that awareness that you're in this long horizontal plane. From fingertips to heel. And slowly release the hand and the knee. If you want, you can take a little child's pose in between sides. or perhaps you can just kind of pick up each wrist and give it a little swirl. Whatever works for you. And then we'll do pointer dog on the other side. Left heel reaches back. So make sure that the left hip bone is facing the mat, that you haven't opened that hip up. Lengthen through the heel. Reach that opposite right arm forward. Find stillness. Continue to breathe. Full inhale. Full exhale. And then take the hand and the knee down to the mat. All right, we're gonna walk our hands forward just about 3 or 4 inches, and then take the hips forward to a low plank. And maybe just rock back and forth here. Take the hips back, and then come forward. Try not to sink into that low back. We don't wanna kind of crush that low spine. Exhale back. Keep the core engaged. Forward low plank. Maybe rock back one more time. And then this time, inhale, come out to your low plank. Squeeze your elbows in towards your rib cage. Really hug them into your ribs and slowly lower. See if you can lower that belly, chest, and chin at the same time. Maybe even hover with your nose right above the mat for a moment. All right, and when you come down, start to lift and peel up the heart, but keep the arms light. Perhaps you take the hands back and interlace the fingers. Open the heart space, lift up. All right, exhale, hands come on down to the mat. Let's press up to hands and knees, and we're gonna tuck the toes under. So we're gonna get a little stretch into the bottom of the feet. So everyone is at a different place. Feel free to just walk your hands back very carefully. Sit your hips back towards your heels. And if you want to just stay here, that's fine. So all of us have some touch of foot, toe issues, plantar fasciitis, who knows what we have. But just go to where you're comfortable. If you can come all the way up to screaming toe pose, feel free to do that. And maybe just loosen the shoulders away from the ears and sit up nice and tall. Only if that works for you. The one thing that's really, really nice about online yoga is that we don't have to compare ourselves to each other. There's no pressure to do one pose or another. All right, now from here, we're going to uncurl those toes and just make some noise. Pad the tops of the feet. Kind of feels a little massaging here. The tops of the shins. All right, and then tuck the toes under and root the hips back and away for down dog. Maybe look up at your hands here for a moment. Is that middle finger pressing straight ahead? Are the creases in your wrists parallel the top edge of your mat? And then one more thing is, sometimes I find that my hands are not completely at the same level, like one hand's out or angled to the side. So see if you can even those hands out. And then make sure you have a little bend to the knees. Tuck your chin, look back at that upper thigh crease. Draw your core in. Take a couple of breaths here, rooting the hips back. And if you would like to take a little walk in the park with your dog, Bending one knee, straightening the other. Keep trying to root the hips back away from the hands and the shoulders. All right, and then we're going to come into a forward fold. So start to walk your feet forward and your hands back, about the middle of our mats, and we'll just hang here like a rag doll. Option to take your hands to the opposite elbows and just hang heavy. Keeping that bend in the knees, drawing your chest down towards your thighs, and then softening the back of the neck. Maybe a little sway here side to side. You can even, this feels kind of good, you can interlace the hands behind the neck here, behind the base of the head. Keep the elbows wide and just sway here side to side, just a gentle twist. All right. We're gonna bring our hands up to the top of our shins. Lengthen the crown of the head forward. Your gaze should be down at the mat. We're creating a tabletop back. We're just gonna make a little picnic lunch here in the park. It could be the picnic table. All right, next inhale. Full breath, exhale, fold. And inhale, we're gonna root to rise. We're gonna come all the way up to standing and take those hands overhead. Perfect. And exhale, draw the hands down to the heart space. So we're just going to stand here in our Anjali Mudra, prayer pose. Perhaps you want to set an intention for your practice or for your day, or for your weekend. Always use your breath to rein your thought in, bring you back to the present moment. Slowing that breath down, creating stillness, both in your mind and in your body. One more breath here. And then we're going to work through a sudden breath. Inhale, reach up to the sky. And then exhale, let that breath out, swan dive over. Inhale, come on up halfway. And exhale, fold again. And inhale, root to rise, all the way up. Palms meet overhead. And exhale, hands to the heart space. One more sun breath. Inhale, reach. Full breath. Move with your breath. Exhale, fold over. Let all that breath out. When you're ready for that next inhale, come on up halfway. Perhaps you're faster or slower than I am. It doesn't matter. Exhale, fold. And inhale all the way up. And exhale, hands to the heart space. All right. From here, you guys should be about the middle of our mats. Let's take the right foot straight back and step maybe the left foot forward just a little bit. Look down at your feet. So your feet should be in these two track lines. And it's always a little challenging here on the park ground, the grass. But point all 10 toes forward. Hips are facing forward in these two railroad tracks. Bring your gaze up and try to root through both feet simultaneously, Samasthiti. Same amount of pressure in both feet. So maybe we're pretending we're on one of those stand-up paddle boards. So any asymmetrical pose on a paddleboard will make you fall. All right, we're going to come into pyramid pose. So begin to draw your elbows back behind you. Squeeze the elbows together. You can stay here, or perhaps you interlace your fingers. Inhale, open the heart, draw those arms back. Maybe you gaze up. And then on your exhale, you're going to hinge forward. Pyramid pose. You're going to look down at that left big toe. Lengthen through the crown of the head. Samasthiti, same amount of pressure in both feet the whole time. Perfect. All right, inhale, come on up. Awesome. All right, look back over this right shoulder to this right foot. Take a huge step back or wiggle that foot back and angle that foot 45 degrees so it's facing outward towards the right corner of your mat. Bend your left knee. We're going to set up for humble warrior. So the arms reach back behind your back, interlace your fingers, and exhale, hinge forward, just on the inside of that left thigh. And go ahead and bow the head down to the mat. Let any tension out of the neck. See if you can achieve that Samasthiti, same amount of pressure in both feet. Next inhale, come on up. Perfect. All right, release the hands and then let's reach up for warrior one. So that left knee is still bent right over that left ankle. Now shoulders are square to the front of your mat, but this right hip, knee, and foot are angled open to the right, just a little bit. Take another deep inhale, and let's pivot open to warrior two. You can look down at your feet, make any adjustments so that your heel to heel alignment. And drop the shoulders away from the ears. And if you'd like, you can turn that left palm up, dancing warrior. Gaze can go up, or if you need to feel a little bit more grounded today, look back at that right heel. All right, next inhale, come on up to a T, warrior two. And for goodness sake, let's straighten that left leg. All right, we're going to come into triangle pose, but we're going to bring a little different awareness to this pose. We're going to inhale, reach with this left arm, and then we're going to tick-tock our arms down so that the left hand is light towards this left thigh. Knees don't hinge forward. Take this right hand and set it alongside your rib cage. Okay, so these are some great muscles all the way on this flank side called the external obliques. And if you rest your fingers right here, those are your external oblique muscles. They're like little fingers reaching around your rib cage. Lighten this left hand completely. Feel those muscles engage. They should just really tighten up. All right, on your next inhale, take this left arm out. See that engagement, feel that engagement, and then come all the way up. Left arm reaches to the sky. Perfect. All right, exhale, bend that left knee, warrior two. And we're going to do our first little vinyasa here. So hands come on down to the mat. Play at the hands. You can step back to plank. You can dip the knees to low plank. Slowly lower chaturanga. On your inhale, peel up. Maybe just keep it with a gentle baby cobra. And exhale, tuck the toes. Downward facing dog. Root the hips back and away. Take a couple of breaths here. And then we'll walk our feet forward and our hands back. Root down through the feet for that nice forward fold. If you want to sway again here just a little bit. Option to interlace fingers if that felt good earlier behind the base of the neck. I'm a big fan of this. This feels great. And it gives you awareness that you don't need to be looking up all the time. You can let that head hang heavy, giving that neck a break. I feel that we look at screens all day long on our Zoom calls. We just need to let those neck muscles relax a bit. All right, and then come on up halfway. Tabletop position, exhale, fold. And inhale, roots rise. We'll come all the way up to standing. All right, exhale, hands to the heart space. So I'm hoping that you guys are all going to help me for the same sequence on the other side. So the left foot comes back and the right foot steps forward, really just about maybe 2 feet apart. If you have too wide of a stance from the front to the back foot, you're going to be super unbalanced. All 10 toes are facing forward. Legs are in 2 parallel track lines. Hands can be on the hips. Squeeze those elbows together. So I need to find a drishti because I feel a little wobbly on this grass, this ground. So ground down, so samasthiti, same amount of pressure, forward foot and back foot. You can interlace the fingers if you want. Inhale to open the chest, draw the arms back, and exhale, hinge and fold forward. Pyramid pose. So lengthen through that crown of the head. Think about your neck as an extension of your spine. So we're hinging at the hips. We have more or less a straight back from the crown of the head to the tailbone. A couple more breaths here. And then next inhale, go ahead and rise up. Perfect. Release the hands. Take this left foot back another foot, foot and a half. Angle the foot out 45 degrees. Bend this right knee. Reach the arms behind the back. We're moving into humble warrior. Inhale to prepare and exhale. Hinge and fold forward. Keep that right knee right over that right ankle. Bow the head to the earth. Nice shoulder stretch. Are you pressing equally into both feet? I just found myself putting more weight into this forward right foot and even kind of rolling onto the pinky toe edge of that right foot. Please don't do that. Draw that right hip in just a little bit. Even the pressure out between the 2 feet. And on your next inhale, press on up. Release the hands, reach them up to warrior one. Oh, and that right knee is working hard, this right thigh muscle. Take a nice deep inhale and pivot open to warrior two. Reversing your warrior. Gaze can go up or down depending on whether if you need to feel a little grounded. All right, next inhale, come on up to warrior two, and we'll straighten that right leg. Okay, so all this work on triangle pose. Reach with this right arm, tick-tock your arms so that the left arm's reaching up and the right arm's reaching down to this right shin. So there is a little bit of a tendency to really put weight into this lower arm. We want to lift ourselves up using these external oblique muscles. So left hand goes to the left rib cage. Lighten, completely lighten this lower right arm. Feel that engagement. Take the arm straight forward, that right arm, and then up overhead. Should have felt that engagement. Okay, bend that right knee, warrior two. Nice, and cartwheel the hands down to the mat. Make sure you flatten the palms here. You can pause in your lunge. Step your legs back for plank. If you would prefer, you can do a cat and cow here. Just honoring your body, making this connecting vinyasa yours. You can go through chaturanga, up dog, down dog, or just maybe a really comfortable cat and cow. As long as you're moving with your breath, it's all yoga. All right. Let's just take a down dog just for a moment. Root the hips back, lengthen the spine. And then let's walk our feet all the way up to our hands, to a forward fold. And then maybe just a little sway here again. I've got a wonderful breeze going. So I'm going to enjoy this for just a few breaths. Swaying in the breeze. The small things in life. All right, inhale, come on up halfway, lengthening the crown of the head forward. You want to get that length in your neck and in your spine. Take another deep inhale and exhale, fold. Inhale, root to rise, point all the way up to standing. Palms meet overhead, and exhale, hands to the heart space. We're just going to do a little side bend stretch. Inhale, reach up. Take your left hand to your right, side bend over. Really just getting into that side waist. And inhale, coming up. Switch your hand grip, side bend to the other side. Feels great with the shoulders. All right, inhale, coming up. Exhale, hands float down to the heart space here. All right, we're gonna take our feet wide. So whether you turn and face that long edge of the mat or you straddle your mat, whatever works for you, we're just gonna come nice and wide and try to parallel the feet here. Put our hands on the hips. We're just gonna do a couple of hinges, and you may wanna have that block close to you. Inhale, press the hips forward, look up, maybe drop the head back. And then on your exhale, you're gonna hinge and fold. Feel that hinge right at the hips. And maybe just fold as deep as you're comfortable with this first time around. All right, inhale, come up. As we come up, we're using those back muscles, core muscles. And then go ahead and dip back again. Squeeze the elbows towards each other, back bend. And exhale, hinge and fold forward. You're moving with your breath, or moving nice and slowly. We're just working that spine and core muscles. Inhale, press the hips forward. Squeeze the elbows towards each other. One more time. Fold forward. Maybe you get a little deeper fold here. And if you can set your right hand right below your face, flat to the mat, go ahead and do that. If your hand doesn't come flat to the mat, take that block at whatever setting works for you. We're going to spin open to the left. Now this is a twist. So if you take this top left hand, bend the elbow and set that hand right to that low spine, that sacral area. Oh my gosh, that spine is twisting, opening up. All right, go ahead and release this twist. Come on back down to the mat. Fold forward. The crown of the head can reach down towards that mat. You can set that block at a little higher setting. Maybe the crown of the head reaches to the top of the block. No worries. And then we'll set that left hand right below the face. So whatever setting works for you. Spin open to the right. That right hand can come down to that low back. Feel that fabulous twist in the spine. So it's starting at that low sacrum, making its way up through the rib cage, through the shoulders, and lastly the neck. And when you're ready, go ahead and release. Drop both hands down to the mat. Either both on top of that block, or if you can reach without the block, go ahead and fold forward here. So whatever option works for you, maybe the hands go wide to the outside of the feet. Maybe they go in between the feet, or maybe they just walk through. No right or wrong, just find what works for you. And then we'll take our hands, we're gonna walk them over to this right foot, and we're just gonna come into a nice deep side bend. So all kinds of things are going on in this particular pose. We've got this super bend in this right knee. And then we have this hamstring stretch on this left side, inner thigh stretch. And then there's also this back right heel to think about. So trying to root that heel down to the ground. If you want, you can use that block to kind of root the heel down and lift up through the shoulders. You can keep those hands right there on the block, lifting up your torso, rooting down. Nice. If you really are a superstar this morning, I'm not sure I am, but you can take those hands to the heart space. All right. Very carefully straighten the legs. Wide leg forward fold. You can move your block with you if you had it. Forward fold here. And then we'll walk that block over to the left side. So the hands come to the left. So the two sides can be crazy different. So I feel that I can't even think about getting my left heel down on this side. I don't know why. Didn't want to do it. Maybe with the block giving you a little bit of support. That nice knee bend on the left. Extension. Hamstring stretch on the right. Lift the shoulders. And maybe take those hands to the heart space, depending on how grounded you feel. And then hands to the top of the block or the ground. Let's walk our hands to the center and just take a nice deep forward fold here. Whatever that may be for you. Don't worry about looking at the screen. Let the head hang heavy. Maybe you shake the head yes, shake the head no. All right. Hands come to the mat if they can, or the top of the block. Heel toe your feet in. Let's bring the feet all the way in to where they're parallel to each other. And then we're going to just come down to hands and knees. So you can stay on this wide length of your mat if you'd like. And we'll just move through a couple of cat and cow. Inhale, lift the heart, drop the belly. Exhale, round the spine. Inhale, lift the heart. Exhale, round. And we'll do that full twist that we worked on earlier. So earlier it was a partial twist. And now we're going to inhale, reach that right arm open. And exhale, thread it through. And just slowly and mindfully lower. See if you can take that right shoulder all the way down to the mat and rest the head. So no pressure on the neck or the head. All the stretch is into the shoulder. And we've got this great twist going. Maybe that left arm floats up. And maybe another option to bend the left elbow and set the hand onto that low back. So you should feel that great twist happening. Breathe here. And then replant the left hand and slowly unwind. You can take that right arm back up and exhale down. All right, switching sides. Inhale, reach. And exhale, thread through. So I want everybody to pretend they have this earpiece in their left ear. So as you come onto that left shoulder, you're doing it really gingerly to not jar that earpiece out. And you're just letting the tip of maybe your head or your temple meet the mat. And then you're going to take that right arm up, only if it's comfortable. Hand to the low back, if you'd like to. Virtually no pressure on the neck or the head or that earpiece. And then slowly, that right hand comes back down. Carefully twist open. Nice. All right, exhale. Hands and knees. Okay, we'll go ahead and have a seat. So I just noticed we didn't truly do a balance pose. We did a couple of poses that involved balance, but didn't necessarily be an official balance pose. But I think we'll all survive. Let's take our legs way out in front of us for Dandasana stick pose. Reach through the heels, sit up nice and tall. Inhale, reach. Hands overhead, and then exhale, hinge and fold over. Reach the chest towards the thighs. Take a couple of breaths here. And then we'll inhale, take the arms up overhead, and exhale, hands to the heart space. All right. We'll bend our knees and just come into a little, kind of a modified boat pose, if you will. So you're drawing your knees in towards your chest, lengthening the crown of the head, finding that comfortable spot for your low sits bones, tailbone. And if you'd like, you can reach those arms open, keep hugging the knees to your chest. Draw the shoulders back. You can take this anywhere you want. You can straighten the legs. Just make sure you don't compromise that back. Keep the back nice and long. Core is working. We'll just stay here till we start shaking. All right. Slowly dip the feet down to the mat. We're going to lower all the way down to the mat. Make sure you have plenty of room behind you. Maybe walk your feet in towards your sits bones. And if you want, we can just sway here side to side. So decide for yourself what might be the next set of stretches or poses that you would like to do. You can just kind of hang out here in a twist on each side. If you want to come into that upside down pigeon pose, you can do that, crossing one leg over the other. You want to come into a bridge pose, you can do that. So just think of this as your time. You're finishing up your practice. I like how we're all just developing our own home practice. This online process is allowing us to pick and choose what classes we want to go to, even pick and choose which part of the class you want to do. It's all wonderful. I don't think yoga was ever intended to be a group practice. It's a means to prepare your body for meditation. Alrighty. So prior to coming into Shavasana, if you want to hug your knees one last time into your chest, you consider this your upside down child's pose. You can draw your forehead up towards your knees, just engaging the core, squeeze into a tiny little ball. And then exhale, release and lengthen onto your mat for Shavasana. So I will try to keep us here for a full 5 minutes. And if I fall asleep at the end, you have full permission to finish up your own Shavasana. So take as much time as you need here. Try to hold this space, stay with us, but just letting go, breath, any muscles that still might be gripping. Very slowly start to move fingers and toes. Perhaps you want to reach the arms overhead. Take a nice long stretch. And then eventually just bending the knees and rolling on to either your right or your left side. Taking those knees up in towards your chest. Resting your head on that lower arm. Just pausing here. Very slowly start to use that top hand to press up to a seated position. Easy pose, Sukhasana pose. Enjoying the lovely breeze here in the park. Let's take our hands together at the heart space. Thank you for sharing your practice with me this morning. The light in me honors that same light, each one of you. Namaste.